peace, and blessings. What's going on? Kalain Mocknaton. Today I want to build on something which is called the divine right of kings. It ties into the United States judiciary in that it provides immunity for judicial officers, legislative officers, and prosecutorial officers, or basically anybody who the judiciary wishes to protect. And this is the base and foundation of how rights are violated without recourse. And it's simply sad because the divine right of kings died in the place in which it originated, which was England, back in the 1600s, and was prevalent throughout the 16 and 1700s. And then after civilization started to advance, ideas starting to broaden, rationalization of the law became more balanced, the rule of divine right of kings started to exit. It was no longer a reliable rule to rely on, so they got rid of it. However, over here in the United States, that rule is still prevalent. You still to this day cannot sue a judge, a prosecutor, or a legislative officer, or anybody who has quasi-judicial immunity, regardless of what they did, unless it was an outright proven criminal act that they committed against you. But far as civilly, you will not find relief from a judge, prosecutor, or legislative officer who violates your rights under the color of judicial office, or the color of office, or the color of law office. You see? So we dealing with very, very, very highly sophisticated methods of immunizing the violators, or the most foulest violators of constitutional rights, and they're dressing it under what they call the doctrine of judicial immunity, which really makes no sense, because the Constitution says only the legislative branch makes the law. However, the divine right of king, or judicial immunity, or immunity as it is known, was actually created by the judicial branch and then dispensed amongst the other branches of government. It was given to the it was given to the legislative and judicial branches first. And what rationality for that is that due to the separation of powers, there can be no law made to enforce the right to sue a judge, or a prosecutorial officer, or a legislative officer. And that just makes no sense, because the right to petition the government is a right bestowed by the Constitution. So where does this right to violate people's rights come from? It does not stem from the United States Constitution, so you won't find it there. It is something that the judicial branch said itself, that it created itself from whatever rules that it came out of. But the thing is, how can a judicial branch give immunity to a legislative branch and executive branch? Is unheard of. But this is the way the law, fashions itself, and this is the way that the people are denied the power to keep a check and balance over the law. They say it's already a check and balance with the separation of powers, but that just doesn't make sense, because the right to petition the government has nothing to do with the separation of powers whatsoever. You had a case that's circulating in which an actual attorney went to bat for the right to petition, saying that Over in England, where the divine right of kings originated, is no longer good law. They don't even look at that law. The French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, the American Revolution completely destroyed the divine right of kings. So why is it still being used over here in the United States? It's simply because they want to enrich themselves and deny you and I the right to keep them in check. They don't want to be in check. So through judicial immunity, they commit all types of acts of unconstitutional things. You see what I'm saying? It's like falsely convicting somebody. They just can release you without really paying you much of anything. You know, you're basically getting crumbs now, because now they got caps on the amount that you can get once you prove that your conviction was unconstitutionally brought about. So when we looking at things, we got to understand the war that we're in, especially as conscious thinkers and revolutionary, you know, spirited people. Everything in this day and time is basically a war waged on those who are vanguards of, you know, the new world to come. So it's simply saying that you have to be vigilant. You have to be up on your P's and Q's. You got to stay awoke, and you got to properly educate yourself, and you got to fill yourself with the proper foods, mentally, spiritually, and physically, so that you don't become poisoned and imbalanced, because it's easy for them to pull one over on you if you don't know. And this is what they do to the masses. They pull one over on them, and the masses don't know. They never figure it out until someone comes along and exposes what's really going on. And this is the time that things need to be exposed. All the exposure information that's coming out in this day and time, it only shows you that there's something in the making, because of all the information that is starting to come to light, that is coming to the surface. It is to destroy and uproot evil and rotten fabric. Here's a case right here on a matter, Molitor versus Caneland Community Unit. And in this opinion, it says, the opinion in this case at bar asserts that the whole doctrine of governmental immunity rests on a rotten foundation. And that's what we basically getting at. It rests on a rotten foundation. So why is it still in use? You know what I mean? It's just more unconstitutional tactics at play by our government. You know, this is what they're into. But once you awaken your third eye, once you awaken your inner powers, once you awaken your God sense, then you can start to see, analyze, and break down things in their proper perspective and get a better result than what you may have been getting. But it all comes to surface that we have to do all in our power to put injustice to rest. We have to do all in our power to make sure that it's burnt completely to the ground, that it's uprooted and done away with, that it will never resurface again. This is why you have brothers like myself and others who are active in the struggle. You know what I mean? Hopefully you'll wake up and become active in the struggle if you're not active in the struggle. So everybody, we just need to get with it, see what's going on. This your brother Kaleem Akhenaten. You know what I mean? Same way I came, same way I'm exiting. Peace and blessings. Love y'all. One.